everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we have another wild, wide-eyed claim by Hillary Clinton, reporting for wearechange.org. Of course, remember folks, these reports only sponsored by you. You guys make this news possible. And although you'll probably see this story on Fox News and some of the more right-leaning broadcasts, you won't see it on CNN unless it's spun in a positive manner. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Hill Dog over here now saying, I think my losing probably accelerated that wave, talking about the Me Too movement. Boom! Mind blown! Hillary Clinton, let me tell you something. You had absolutely zero to do with that movement, at least the legitimacy of that movement, the movement that went after your best buddy in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein. That's the main target. I mean, the cojones on this woman to sit there and outright lie. And by the way, the Me Too movement has been very much co-opted. You're only allowed to talk about certain things in this movement. Any Hollywood celebrity that's kind of spoken up a little bit to try to talk about this abuse in Hollywood, people like Matt Damon, they better step back. They did something in the 90s. Or Ben Affleck, who groped somebody on MTV 20 plus years ago. All of a sudden, they have to remain silent. They're not allowed to talk about it. But Hill Dog, the woman who had extramarital affairs, if you don't believe that, take a look at her daughter. Take a look at her daughter and take a look at Webb Hubbell, the man she worked with in a very high-profile law office. The man even spoke at the Whitewater hearings, by the way. Yeah, you should check all that stuff, the Vince Foster thing, all involved, okay? And you tell me that there's no relation there. You can't deny that her husband had extramarital affairs, which she kind of put to the side, and that there have been allegations against her husband of far beyond that. We're talking about actual sexual abuse and rape. And remember, those are allegations, and we will keep it clean here. But the idea that this woman has helped women in any way, shape, or form is a sick joke. And it's something that we have to combat because, again, guys, it's not about left or right. It's about right and wrong, okay? And, you know, that's why we got to continue to look at every single aspect of every single major news story. And although this isn't in the news much, only a day and a half, 2 days later, not even 2 days, about a day and a half later, they've dropped this, the YouTube shooting. And there are a lot of questions here. Maybe not about the validity of whether this woman carried out the attack. It certainly appears that she did. Remember, that initial story was kind of a disgruntled employee who went to kill her boyfriend, and, she killed another woman and shot at other people. And then that narrative was completely flipped into angry vegan YouTuber of Iranian descent who went in after she warned her father and her brother, and they came out and said, hey, we contacted the police. We told them that she was on their way there. She was on her way there, and she was probably going to do something violent. I believe the father said she'd been gone for 2 days. Now, I know there's a little pushback from the police, but now the police are coming out and saying that when they did find her, because remember, they found her asleep in her car in the town where the YouTube facility was, and they let her go. She was calm and cooperative. The cops are now defending their decision not to arrest the YouTube shooter. Now, let's take a look at this rationally for a moment. California has some of the strictest gun laws, not only in the country, but in the world. Okay, maybe it's not European gun laws, but they've got some pretty strict gun laws. And YouTube is a gun-free zone. Gun-free! Did that stop people from being murdered? No, absolutely not. Did the warnings to the police stop people from being murdered? No, it did not. And again, the left doesn't want to talk about this because she was a vegan. She did seem to lean towards the left. And it doesn't fit their narrative. However, the Muslim thing may or may not fit a narrative. The Iranian thing may or may not fit a narrative. And the fact that she was disgruntled at YouTube for censorship gives them kind of this blanket motif to go after any YouTubers that are upset with their censorship. And actually, we promoted an article from PJ Media yesterday on the Facebook page that really broke down how out of control not only the demonetization, but the banning of YouTubers has come out. I mean, it's crazy. And that article is just spot on. It's by PJ Media. Please go to the Facebook page, hit that like button, and share some of those articles, because that was a really good one. We're doing more and more over at Facebook every single day. Okay, so let's move on to yet another story here that you're probably not going to hear much about in the mainstream media. You might hear it in the left media a little bit because, hey, it's a GOP advisor. So this GOP advisor for Mitt Romney, by the way, a man that ran for president, was heavily promoted by the establishment, I believe he's a Mormon, and yeah, his big advisor over there, guess what he's doing? He's keeping his ex-fiancée, I mean, she was his fiancée at the time, as a sex slave. Now, I'm not going to read all of it, I'm not going to go over all of it, but we're talking about sex on demand, demanding her to be naked at all times in the home, chains, whips, dog collars, things like that. Those are the people that are trying to get their way into government and climb that social ladder. Oh, let's start climbing. These are the people you're dealing with. And even when you're not dealing with them directly, they're dealing with the politicians that are supposed to be, you know, basically surrogates for their constituents, for us, for we the people, a government, again, that's supposed to be mainly run by the people. Remember, our voice, not the voice of psychopaths that keep women as sex slaves, and again, on that conservative end. And again, hey, if you're into that sort of thing, if it's a consensual relationship, if it's not abusive, if you're into it, I'm not here to stop you. But when you put on a facade, when you promote a certain ideology, and then all of a sudden this starts to come out, and you're not making statements, you're shying away from it, believe me, it gets much worse than this, as this is something to do with an adult, and we know that there have been massive abuses of children, not only in our government, but in the European government and beyond. And we've covered that here at We Are Change at some length. So, final story we're going to go over today. It's a big one for you crypto heads out there, okay? And I'm just going to say this. I saw it coming. I don't know what the global impact of this is going to be, but it can't be a good one. India's banking system and regulation entities have banned virtual currencies. That's right. It's just about over. This is it. It looks like they're going after them. They're not going to let you deal in them. India is a large, large nation, an ever-growing nation. Okay, a huge, huge nation in the Middle East, a one that we deal with on a very large level, as in the United States, and one that, you know, is obviously intimately involved in the finances of Russia, China. It's part of the BRICS nations, folks. Remember? It's part of that nation. Now, this is a bad sign. Now, are they actually going to be able to regulate it? That's a great question because of the decentralization. But the fact that they're banning it, and then, you know, this is just the beginning. Who knows if they're going to start threatening jail sentences, prison sentences, other types of maybe possibly confiscation of property. We just don't know how far this is going to go. But I really do hope that the citizens of India fight back on this, because we need decentralization in currency. We need anonymity when it comes to transactions, because we can't trust our government, baby. We can't. And forget about our government. We can't trust the corporations that we have to deal with on a daily basis, whether we like it or not, such as Google, Apple, you know, Twitter, Facebook, all these things. You know, whether or not you have a Facebook page, your friend does, you're texting that friend, it's come out, they've got your text messages. Tucker Carlson just did a report where he shows you the logs of what your Android phone is doing, and even when you have it in airplane mode, let me repeat this, even when it is in airplane mode, in other words, it's not supposed to be tracking your GPS at all, right? They can tell when you've gone to your car and how long you've been in your car and when you've left your car. So yes, you think, oh, well, you know, they're just maybe keeping the microphone on, and they're looking for keywords, and maybe they're trying to sell me stuff, and that's part of it. but they're doing your movements too. They have an absolute profile on you. In fact, you can Google this, and I may do this in a future video, but Facebook itself actually has you listed as a liberal, a conservative, or a moderate, depending on what you've posted, what you've liked, what you've commented on. And I was kind of curious. I went and looked. I mean, you got to go through about 4 different spots. You got to go to your settings, and then your ads, and I think your manager, and then your about. And I mean, there's a list of things, and then you go to your political, and they have me listed as a moderate. I would have been surprised about anything else because, again, we here at We Are Change truly are not about liberal or conservative, right or left. We are about right and wrong. And the bottom line is this track, trace, and database society that we have created, that we have enabled, that we have allowed to take advantage of our lives is very real and must be stopped. Folks, look for a new video by Luke Rudowski over at the main page. There's been some great stuff over there, straight out of Africa, straight out of Somalia, Kenya, you name it. Did some great reports. He's also been reporting on the latest news, went over those thug police yesterday, and so much more. And we're going to continue to bring you more and more content as the days, weeks, and months roll by. But we can't do it without your support. So again, if you can go to wearechange.org, you can make that donation no matter how small. It helps us so much. But more importantly, folks, if you want to see some change, be that change you want to see in the world. Thank you so much for joining me.